environment and damaging consequences. I think all of us, we know that when we go to the Constitution of the Republic, you can be able to get everything else, but on how we should be able to guide each other, on how coalition government should be, it's a missing link in that regard. And I think that was a basis where I can say we missed it all. We witness the rise of what analysts term kingmakers. Parties with a single seat in a council who will get disproportionate power, changing alliances as often as the wind, not based on principle or policy, but on a culture or allure of personal or political gain. This environment fostered a culture of backroom deals, vote buying, and chronic instability. The result was high turnover of executive leadership, policy distortion, and more strategically, catastrophic collapse in service delivery. And I think I will refer to the Thabazimbi matter, which Menkaru spoke about here. Nowhere was this chaos more vividly illustrated than in our own experience in the Thabazimbi local municipality. As detailed in the recent study, a municipality became paralyzed by a parallel municipal council and a duplicate management teams, one led by the ANC and the other led by a DA-led coalition, each claiming legitimacy. This political infighting led a complete breakdown, and this is what we observed when there was a breakdown of the leadership of council. There was an accrued debt of over 480 million in the ESCOM and Makalis. Municipal workers went unpaid on their salaries. Sewage spillage, uncollected waste, disrupted basic services became a norm for the residents. Over 15 million rand for public funds was wasted on court cases, contesting political position instead of being spent on community for services that they voted for. This is what we observed when the outright majority is not realized. But at the same time, there is no understanding on the political leadership that that was the will of the people for them to work together and decided to go parallel. This was not governance. It was a collective failure that betrayed the trust of our people. Thabazimbi stands as a stark monument to the parties or to the perils of unregulated coalition politics, a cautionary tale that compelled us to act. I must say, I was leading the charge. And I went there, I must share with you that I met all the councillors. I say, your actions, irrespective where I come from, here it tells us that we should invoke section 1391C, where we dissolve the council. And people tried to go to court, and the court stood with the MEC and the provincial government to dissolve the municipality. But let me put it in a picture to say, you will see right away that coalition governments, which are not necessarily made of any political policy or derived by the communities, it's only backroom deals. Today you go there, this councillor is on that other side. This councillor is on that other side. It's only a matter of a side that you are taking just for the sake of having a position. And that is what this seminar should be able, and I think the panelists or the people who are going to make presentation will also come to talk about this item. But today we find ourselves in a transitional phase. The 2021 elections and their aftermath made it clear that coalition governments is rapidly becoming a new normal in South Africa. So we can't avoid it. We can't talk as if we are not going to experience it in 2026. So we should be able to be, all of us here, speakers. I see one speaker in this council or this seminar, who is also an outcome where a municipality had 14, Makamu, me and myself, I had to sign that the leadership should be decided on the fall of a coin. We went in, we could not come out. We went in, we could not come out. Vote buying or whatever, but we then said, let's use a coin, and the coin will come either head or tail, and the leadership of a particular municipality, because this is not properly regulated, we should be able to move and understand that this thing or this phenomenon, it is with us to stay, therefore we should be able to regulate. And I will come to some of the thinking I have on the matters. Our current reality, however, remains fraught with challenges. The instability of young municipalities continues to undermine public trust. As Professor Piredu Force has noted, the lack of specific regulatory provisions has enabled opportunistic political behavior and fostered unstable coalitions. Public surveys consistently show rising democratic satisfaction and a sharp dip in the voter turnout. From 66% in 2019 to 58% in 2024, it is a clear signal of public despondency. I must indicate that in my other capacity, I go everywhere. I show how voter turnout is in the whole country, or in the whole province rather specifically. But I can tell you, with local government, it's even worse. Something that was supposed to be opposite, because the community will see a ward councillor, somebody staying in that house, or a relative or somebody else. But that's where people realize that there is no need for them to vote because of what we are doing once we are in a position. And that's what needs to be attended to. Opposite. That's why I say, Makamu, we closed at the high note with Skukune, having increased our voter turnout from 46 in that ward to about 58 in that ward. Something which I'm not so sure standing here what could be, but I think in-depth research should be looked into. What is it that we could have done right? All political parties, of course, to look what we can replicate or take to everywhere to get that. Yet, with this challenge lies immense opportunity. Coalition governments, if managed effectively, offer a potential for more inclusive policy making, broader consensus, and the governance model that truly reflects the multifaceted nature of our society. They can force parties to move beyond narrow partisan interest and focus on common good. The question is not whether we will have coalitions next year, but how we will make them to work. Of course, in this province, it could be that there is a dominance of one political party, but I'm standing here that the question is not whether we are going to have one or not. The question is how we should work and plan together to work towards going forward, because we are going to have that, I'm sure of. It is in response to urgent need that we look to the future of the Local Government Municipal Structures Amendment Bill of 2024 on coalition, or what we call coalition bill. The legislation is not merely a technical amendment. It is a foundational tool designed to bring order, predictability, and accountability to coalition governments. Let me outline some of its key provisions and their intended impact. Number one, transparent and binding coalition governments. The bill mandates coalition agreements must be formalized, made public, and legally binding. This is paramount. Transparency allows citizens and civil society to hold coalition partners accountable to their promises, dramatically increasing the political cost of reneging on the agreements. It is, It is dramatically increasing that political cost of reneging on agreements. It moves deal-making from dark corridors into the light of public scrutiny. I think you will know, and I will continue to use Thabazimbi as an example. It has got 23 councillors. The ruling party now there has got 10 councillors. Opposition of the are having 13. The question will be, how did we arrange this agreement? What does the community know about this agreement? Have we taken the voters into confidence on what is it that they say, all this one, that you may not necessarily be the ruling party or head the majority, but please govern the municipality? It is not known by anybody. Maybe the cap that I'm wearing here may not necessarily even allow me to declare. But that is what you will see, that if these things are not necessarily made public, not being transparent, it gives the community not to understand why. Maybe it's one of the issues that we should be able to make sure that in the contribution, we make this area of making it legally binding, but also not to change, because if you have got 10, you know that the decision that you take, you may not have the majority. So you should be able to be begging or giving somebody something that does not deserve, only to make sure that through goes on. So it's something that I think the legislation or the bill is providing, and we should be able to support that. Reforming motions of no confidence. I think all of us will know what happened in Joburg. How many of the mayors within one term have been sitting there? If you don't have a majority, somebody decides to change today to go this way, it means the position is gone. To curb the rampant abuse of motion of no confidence that have crippled municipalities, the bill proposes more stable environment of office bearers. It suggests that such motions against key officials like mayors and speakers be limited to once every 2 years and be based on serious stipulated grounds. This provides a necessary window for administration to implement the program without the constant threat of being unseated by political mechanism. You know, if we can succeed on this one, agreed on this one, all of us, it should be better, because the municipal manager together with the entire administration will have to sit at least and plan and knowing, like, if a motion has to be done within 7 days submitted, somebody has changed when they met somewhere in a corner, the mayor changes, then the MM must leave. Hence in Thabazimbi, they realized that they cannot work with, so there was a parallel. So one day I went to meet with the entire council, with the entire management. Then I said, introduce yourself. Somebody stand up, I'm the municipal manager. Somebody stand up, I'm a municipal manager. And I must tell my words that I mentioned there. Both the two headmasters' degrees. I don't want to dwell what is it that the councillors held in terms of qualifications, but they held political power. Then I asked these municipal managers that your parents paid school fees for you to be decorated, as I can see from your CV, but you can't be able to advise these councillors that this what they are doing, it's wrong, it's not per legislation, it can't happen. Because there's nowhere in the legislation where a municipality can have 2 mayors, 2 speakers, 2 chief whips, 2 MMs, 2 CFOs. Everything was double, like one song which talks about. So I'm trying to say, as much as we are talking about this political arrangement, we should also be worried about administratively on what is it that the administration does. But I think this regulating the motions within councils, more especially motions which deals with the deployment of political leaders, will be able to be considered. The next thing that the legislation or the bill brings is effective dispute resolution mechanism, recognizing that disputes are inevitable in any partnership, including at home. The bill calls for inclusion of a formal dispute resolution mechanism within coalition governments. This is critical to prevent every disagreement from escalating into a coalition-breaking crisis or ending up in court, burdening our judiciary with political disputes. When Tati Cheko was presenting me here, he also said I'm responsible for traditional leaders. Every time a Hoshi passes on now, the person who has more headache than the family members, it's MEC for CoGHSTA. Because I know that the next thing is that they are going to start to fight who sits there. So when I'm busy with these traditional matters, then it's also here when every time, because of the margins of the numbers in council, if one goes this side, it has changed all the balance of forces. And that means we should be able to know how do we resolve the dispute, because even if you are in a relationship, you can't just simply because we did not agree on this one, therefore I'm leaving out, I'm joining the other ones. When you go there, you take over the municipality, you don't get what you come and apologize, you come back this side. It can't be like that. So we should allow for a formal dispute resolution mechanism within this, and it will be known that when you don't agree, this is how you should. Maybe at that point, it will have to come, what will be the role of the MEC, what will be the role of the minister in that regard, so that we can be able to allow and say, we agree that you have failed to resolve your matter, or on this matter, there is not even a need. Because even at the time you agree to get into this, you have made it transparent. This is what you said. Still stick by your relationship. The other matter which is also going to be an issue, which is being suggested in the bill, is promoting transparency in council voting. A more contentious but important proposal is the introduction of open voting through show of hands for the election or removal of office bearers. While we must be mindful of the concerns regarding councillor independence, the intention is to enhance accountability, eliminate the corruption and secret vote buying that has plagued some councils. You know, we are proposing that when we are voting for this, Councillor Cheko, it should by show of hands. I remember in the municipality that I was referring to, because we wanted to manage, we are even to develop a different pens. So a political party will be given pens which are different, so that when we count, we can see that the numbers we have equals there. But that is not the right one. But also when you see this vote selling, one person is in that political party, but see an opportunity of making money at an hour, I can go and vote with you secretly. Bring me this. Then you find you are running a municipality, but you don't know how you got it. Somebody is sitting with you, but did not vote with what you want. So we are bringing this into a action that there should be show of hands, so that if you took money, at least you should be public that you have taken money, you have voted what you want, or you will explain it to say, I only believe that the mayor of this municipality, even if I'm from this political party, but I think that political party has a better candidate to run. So you should do that openly and without fear or favor. Even if it's not about money, you say, I have looked, and I can tell that it's possible that you can sit. It's not a secret, I'm coming from the ANC, that sometimes you see that in this municipality, the employees we have does not deserve to be in that position, but on the opposite, because they did not win, somebody was supposed to take over, but it does not allow, you have not won election. So that maybe will also come to and we'll get quality out of these things, because people will come out openly and say, we believe that there is a candidate. And I can tell now that political parties in Tabazimbi, they said we are tired of the fighting that. Because you have got at least 10, continue running the municipality and see what is it. I'm not so sure, I'm not here to report back whether we are doing exactly what we expected or something is happening now. The last part I want to talk to, it's about collective responsibility. But Menkaro, Mebapela, I will not sit without bringing this so that the academia which is here, and I see that the Raputsoa is going to make presentation as well. I have done my small research and see how we can eliminate. Remember, all my inputs here was saying this is something that we are not going to avoid or going to have. But I've done research, and it's a major matter. I did not even write here, I just said I will speak about it. How we can minimize this instability in collusion. In Kenya, for argument's sake, a political party will have a particular threshold in order to make it to the council or to the legislature or parliament. They put up, say, 3%, that is here, Sanego. So if you got 0.001, you don't get in. At least get 3%. In eThekwini, we have got about 17 political parties now. If you were to use a threshold of 3%, you are going to eliminate about, we have got 21, you are going to eliminate 17, you remain with only 4. And you will think that with the 4 political parties, they will be able to have stability, because not a person with 0.01 will make it, because that is what I said is a kingmaker in that regard. So maybe we should consider, but it defeats what we stand for as this country of constitutional democracy, but multi-party participation. But it was going to be something that will be able to reduce parties within a council and be able to deal with that. Nobody, Menkar, the people coming from national, they know I raise it in the Minimac. This thing, why don't we consider going that route? But it will only win or strengthen bigger political parties and eliminate the dissenting views, which our community also want. So our academia here will also help us. But I think it will bring stability within councils. But I want to conclude by saying the journey from the instability of our past to promise of a stable future is one we must undertake together. The coalition bill is a powerful tool, but legislation alone is not a panacea. It must be complemented by a genuine willingness from all political parties, councillors and administrators to respect its spirit and letter. It requires a commitment to put the people's needs above narrow party interests. As the MEC for Corporate Governance, Human Settlement and Traditional Affairs, I call all political parties, civil society leaders, academics and community representatives to engage robustly with this new legislation. Let us build a culture of cooperation and ethical leadership. Because if you are elected but you don't even
That could have been brilliant. Chris, me and you would be writing a thesis for a doctoral study on head and tail. So I'm happy that that part of the legislation was on point. So I'm hoping that the academia in our country, researchers, Memahisi, can come up with the reality of the country that is confronting us. I'm going to be proceeding with a team of the brains of our country. I've got Ntate Nkheli, Nkheli, who is Senior Manager of Municipal Institutional Establishment at CoGTA. I've got Ntate Selelo, who is lecturer and PhD candidate at University of Limpopo. And I've got Ntate Raputsoa, who's Municipal Manager of Waterberg District Municipality. I'm going to allow them. I'll do what we normally do when we do panel discussion. I'm going to open the floor. It looks like a mail program. Ne? Yo, it's again. Okay, we'll fix this in January. We'll do a bit of a zebra, ne? Male, female, just a bit of a balance. And then if Buntate Bale, Rekabazama, maybe in some instances where we give them a minority vote, and then we take a few of Bomme. Kekopa Ntate Nkheli to lead the platform, followed by Ntate Rapetsoa. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes each. I can write Gauteng. Our Gauteng has badly adopted me. So I can try to Gautrain. I speed, ne? I move. That's me. Please share your insights with us. And after that, we'll indulge with maybe Menkar will have Memoachisi just to summarize and just they see much better. So we proceed with the presentations, and then Mayor Moagisi will put them for us, ne? And then we'll be good for a weekend. Thank you so much. Ebaholu, can we proceed? Ntate, let's lead.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable MEC, the PO of the Independent Electoral Commission, speakers, I had also got Amakosi, the leader of traditional leaders in Khoisan here, and colleagues from departments. I greet you. My task is just simple. Although the program director has requested that we do this in 15 minutes, but this is a subject that will take a day really in the real circumstances, but I'll try and brush it over. So I'm presenting to you the overview of the Municipal Structures Amendment Act, the coalition bill. Our structure will be that I'll just give you a brief background, the prevalence of the hung councils, and the study on coalitions and minority governments, proportional and fair representation, coalition framework as presented by Salga and Dula Oma. I'll brush over that, Chair, to make sure that I fit within the 15 minutes as per program. But I'll just be more on the Municipal Structures Amendment Bill, which we normally know is the coalition bill, and look at other considerations as well as process plans for the bill. I'd also like to touch on the local government laws amendment bill, because that works in tandem with what we are doing on the review of the white paper and local government. Then we'll go to recommendations. As you all know that from 2021 LDG, the number of hung councils increased in the country. And I can say that from year 2000, we increased from 29 coalitions to 82 in the year of 2021 local government. That shows how is this growing fast within us, that we need to come up with something to have a regulatory framework or guidelines that will guide the formation and management of coalitions within the local government sphere. A number of stakeholders have pronounced on this themselves through papers, discussion documents, and draft frameworks for coalitions. So the TECOC then came up with the development of the Local Government Municipal Structures Act amendments, and these amendments will also be supported by regulations, and they were presented in the National Dialogue on Coalitions during a meeting, I think it was in Cape Town, in August 2023. This just shows you in maps how coalitions have been growing in our country. Look at how it was looking like in 2000, but predominantly look how is it growing in 2021. It's almost like spreading all over the entire country, which shows that this is here to stay. We are going to live with coalitions. Noting this kind of phenomenon, the DCOC then came up with an issue of commissioning a study on how do we deal with these coalitions, whereby the study came up with that political parties should strongly consider political education in order to ensure that members, especially deployees, understand and appreciate the need for coalitions. The study also said that we need to give consideration for further research on why some coalitions have worked and why others have not worked. And also they came up with that we need to come up with a research of a set of rules or framework that should be developed to guide the management of coalitions in respect of policy development, joint project and program implementation, as well as conflict management. Study further on came up about that we need also to come up for the formulation and inclusion in the coalition agreement of a code of conduct that will govern the conduct of the members of the coalition. And then finally, they speak about that we need to come up with procedures to deal with dissent, including tolerance, which should be developed and institutionalized. The study came up with also some sort of recommendations on proportional and fair representation. I'm not going to spend time on that, but they were speaking about that we need to look at a parallel system, we need to look at a mixed system. On the PR system, we also need to look at an open party list system. Due to time constraints, I won't just elaborate on what that means. But these were kind of things that the study came up with, and that we need also to introduce a single transferable vote system. And the question now should be whether any of these systems can really address the challenges that we are sitting with when we speak about the coalitions, or whether proposals contained in the bill will really comply or address this kind of rationality as presented by the study. In 2016, the DCOC came around to review the local government electoral system subsequent to the study. And what we did, we came out with what do we really need to address the issue of proportional representation without tampering with the Constitution as what was proposed. You know that Section 60, subsection 8 of the Constitution is clear, especially that municipal councils are entitled to participate in its proceedings and those of the committees in a manner that A, allows parties and interests reflected within the council to be fairly represented. So we're looking at that fairly representation. But what was interesting is that there are a number of cases. I decided to pick up one chair so that you know that this matter has been coming into courts a number of times. There was a case between the DA and the ANC, the High Court, whereby the ruling was that the requirement of a fair representation set by Section 168A of the Constitution can be met by a system of representation other than proportional representation or systemic approximating one of the proportional representation. So it means doable. And then we also, what informed the bill was the frameworks that came up with SALGA and the Dula Institute. In summation, Chair, too quickly, those frameworks were saying that we need to provide detailed coalition agreement, we need to establish effective dispute resolution mechanisms, a party with the largest number of votes should lead the coalition agreements, consequence management for councillors that breach the coalition agreements, that there also need to be a content of the content of the coalition agreement should be made public, and also they're saying there should be clear grounds to terminate and amend the coalition agreement. Further on, they were saying that the speaker and the mayor have to come from the majority parts. I'm just highlighting what actually informed the bill. So, like I said, then it resulted in coming up with the Municipal Structures Amendment Act, which aims to establish a legislative framework that will guide the formation and management of coalitions. So this has been taken to cabinet and cabinet approved for consultations which took place in May 2024. The bill was published and also it was extended to 31 July 2024 to get public to comment on those kind of things. And then we've got now this also extended to these institutions for comment, which means this bill has been extensively communicated with some stakeholders, and we got these responses from all these stakeholders. Let me say that before I get into the bill itself, Chair, it would be hyperbolic for us to say now we've hit a bottleneck because of coalitions. I always insist that actually the phenomenon of the existence of coalitions is actually showing us that our democracy is maturing. The only thing that we need to do is to see how do we manage this maturing democracy. The bill, as I'm going just to go through it, is purported to try and address how do we manage the maturing democracy. So if you look at the bill, in clause 1, we deal with just definitions, but what is mainly there is that the evolving of democratic landscape has made them a permanent feature in local government, which means these coalitions are going to be there. We come up with the definition of a coalition agreement to mean a written agreement negotiated between parties that form a coalition government in a municipality in which no political party has a majority of seats on the council. That is clause 1. Clause 2 addresses the issue of empowering the MEC to change the type of municipality from a mayoral executive system to collective executive system if it happens that there are coalitions, and that should happen within 30 days when that surfaced, Honorable MEC. What we are saying is that in the collective executive system, when the coalition collapses and the mayor is removed from the office, the rest of ESCO members remain, which means that there will be a stable government or less disruptions as compared to the situation of executive system of government, whereby the mayor come up with the MMCs. When the mayor goes, the MMCs goes as well. Then the municipality is not stable. We came up with clause 3, 4, 6, and 7. That one is just addressing the municipal office bearers issues. What we are coming up now in this clause, in summary, we are introducing a 2-year period on tabling and passing of motions of no confidence for the removal of the speaker. And also we come up with the reasons what should be considered when we speak about the motion of no confidence. That it should be a serious violation of the Constitution or the law, serious misconduct or inability to perform functions of office, not just frivolous motion of no confidence. This is meant to ensure that there are no frequent changes at this level, and also it addresses that something is done to avoid that the practices of corrupt activities done to influence voting in the council meetings in exchange of favors and that are vetted. So we are proposing that there should be show of hands, no secret ballot, because that's when the rigging comes in, buying that. So this is the bill. And in essence, the provision will eliminate frivolous motions of no confidence and actually that are being raised from time to time. 5 is dealing with the issue of the coalition binding agreements. We are introducing a contractual connotation to the relationship between the different political parties which will be legally enforceable. So it's not something new that is happening. There's evidence from coalition governments in Belgium, Italy, and the Netherlands that confirms that most of the policy priorities that are contained in the coalition agreements are subsequently adopted as official government policy. So this suggests that coalition agreements can be effective in encouraging political parties and interests to work together to fulfill the agenda of the coalition government, as you actually preached, MEC, during your remarks. We are coming now with Clause 8. Clause 8 come up with a threshold. This is a point of contention. Wherever we go, there's a fight. I'll work on this, Chair. So, Schedule 1 of the Act, we say it need to be amended to come up with a 1% threshold of valid votes cast for a political party to qualify for a seat in municipal council. It happens in Denmark, they set a threshold of 2%, and in Germany, it's just 5%. It happens as well. So experience has shown that formula, as it stands, favors smaller parties to be represented in municipal councils. The formula that we are using, it does that. And we are saying that the party or independent councillor with the smallest number of seats in the coalition can drive a hard bargain and demand to be rewarded with the most prestigious office. This gives them a level of political power that has no relation to the electoral support. The majority of the people who voted for these parties, but because they need a wielding force, they get this one party now to wield everything out. We are saying a threshold will eliminate that. I'll show that when I bring about examples, Honorable MC. Small parties also causes fragmentation and makes the business of governing a municipality, developing policy and taking decisions more cumbersome and laborious. So if the 1% threshold is not met, the party content must be eliminated from all further calculations for the allocation of seats in the council. This will limit the number of parties allocated seats in council and thus enabling fewer parties to form a stable coalition. So there are a number of various options that are being looked that we need to deal with in threshold. These ones are still under discussion. Some of them have been taken by the department for legal experts to see if they will pass the constitutional muster if we include them in the bill. The first one, option 1, I've already spoken about, introduction of 1% electoral threshold. The option 2 is introducing a 15% non-exerting or executive thresholds. This threshold indicates that for a party to hold a position within the municipal executive and ESCO, a minimum threshold of 15% of the votes must have been obtained. So it's aimed at providing for the eligibility of members to hold positions of office bearers to be not kingmakers. That's what this one is done. I'll give you an example of what that does. Option 3 is 1 seat threshold. This one was proposed. It says an introduction threshold into calculation and allocation of seats in location so that parties must first obtain enough valid votes to achieve at least 1 seat on the municipal council before they are entitled to be considered for additional seats under the highest remainder of calculations. Chair, I'll come with an example of that. We don't need to worry about what do I mean when I read the text, because we'll see what each of these will have effect if they are implemented. The last one is introduction of a ward votes exclusion method when calculating PR seats. In the calculation of PR seats, the threshold proposes that the votes obtained in a ward election must be disregarded for the purpose of calculating PR seats. So only votes obtained in the PR election ballot must be considered in this regard, which means what you as a party obtained in terms of the ward and then you lost a councillor when we're taking that out. We'll only look at what, you know, we've got 2 ballots, isn't it? We'll only consider the PR ballots as to what we get in as far as seats are concerned. That's what this one is saying. So this will avert a situation whereby parties contest elections in areas with no constituencies in an effort to gain a few votes per ward and collectively obtain a PR seat as per the current formula. Which, and then message by kingmaker at the end of the day. So this is trying to avoid that. So the example of this 1% threshold, let's look at an example. Nelson Mandela Bay, if you exert the 1% threshold in the outcome of the 2021 local government elections, there will only be 10 parties that forms the municipal government. But currently there are 13 parties. So we'll be eliminating 3 parties in Nelson Mandela Bay. So as the case in Alfred Duma, we'll be eliminating at 3 as well, if we exert a 1% threshold, which means that the fewer the parties, the easy to manage them as compared to have one party with only just one seat wielding. So these parties can at least form a better stable government with 1%. If we look at the 15% executive threshold, we are saying, look, you can only have a seat in the executive. Don't forget that the executive come from, in the collective executive system, from the ESCO, then you elect the mayor. Is that not so? In terms of it is so. So what we are saying that now, you need to get at least 15%. We can change the threshold, play around with it, but in the meantime, we are looking at 15%. If you compare what would be happening in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, if we were going to have that, who should form the executive committee, then out of the 29 parties contesting elections, 27 parties obtained below 15% of the valid votes. So it means that in Nelson Mandela, the ESCO will only be composed of ANC and DA. There's a contention, we also made some examples whereby that might create a problem, especially in the local municipality with fewer seats. But it's one option that can address the matter. Then one seat threshold, if you apply that, that is a one seat threshold. In Nelson Mandela Bay, we'll only be having 10 councillors, 10 parties in the municipal council. But without that, we've got 17 parties. So easily that 10 will be much more manageable as compared to 17. So these thresholds are meant to try and address that kind of things. And then the last one is a ward exclusion. If we take out ward votes and we say now we are dealing with only the PR votes for you to have seats, this would be the situation happening in a municipality. We took a look at the municipality, Alfred Duma and KZN. And if that was done in 2021, it means that in this option, the APC, the APM and NPA would be excluded in the municipality. The municipality will only be composed of ANC and FPIP, NFP and DA, which means that we'll be eliminating a number 3 parties, which will end up becoming kingmakers. So for this reason, that's why we are coming to this, I was that. But other considerations that we are looking at now in the bill is what should be the time frame for councils to be established if we want to allow the coalition negotiations to take place. Should it be 14 days as it is now, that it must be formed in 14 days? Or should it be 60 days, should it be 90 days? These are something that we need to discuss and say what would be the most appropriate time enough for dealing with coalition agreements. Should ESCO be the decision-making body while the coalition agreement is being finalized or not? This is one of the issues. Should the municipal manager or administrator be responsible for decision-making for the municipality whilst the council is in the process of being established, or should it be in consultation with the MEC for local government? These are kind of things that we still need to thrash out, Chair, in terms of the bill and say, how should we address this? But we are busy dealing with it. Your input, please, will be appreciated. The bill processing, this is a process that we are busy with now. We are looking to get this bill assented by the President before the local government elections. All the greens we have done. Now we are busy looking at that. From 2025, maybe early, we should be submitting this to the National Assembly. Hopefully, the bill will be introduced to Parliament and then be dealt with before the local government elections that it comes into effect. In conclusion, I want just to say that whilst the proposed framework and amendments are not a closed list, it is meant to stimulate debate with stakeholders and interested parties. Discussions also provide further thoughts and ideas for consideration as we embark on this journey of exploration and reform on municipal coalition governments. Our collective goal must ensure that we have established municipalities and that service delivery is not compromised. Legislative amendments must comply with the concept of rationality, which forms part of the principle of legality as in terms of our constitution. There's also a process that's going on, Chair. I'm just going to brush through the local government general amendment bill. That one is in the domain. We are welcome also to make inputs there because we are looking at amending the local government legislation. But also the white paper local government process is meant to fit into amendment, general laws amendment bill. We request that please, let's participate on those local government white paper review process and inputs on this bill. So far, the bill looks like this. These are things that are in the bill in summary, and then you can go through them. I'm not gonna go through them, but also you can make still further inputs if there are things that you feel we need to amend these pieces of legislation. That are there. In the meantime, all inputs we've got is about the Systems Act, the Structures Act, and the Municipality Property Rate. I recommend that you take note of the content of the coalition bill, we discuss proposals, participate in review of the white paper local government, and make input on some of the amendments being proposed in the local government general laws amendment bill. Written submissions, Chair, comments may be submitted to the department via post or attention of the general or by email as per the address I've just presented. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Ntate Nkheli. May I please have our lecturer and PhD candidate at University of Limpopo, Mr. Selelo. PO, what it looks like, the next coming elections are going to be an elections of academia, elections of research, elections of thought leadership, elections of basically, so as if MEC were going back to school. There's a lot of school happening here. Yo hotatanyana, wait. Ntate kopa re zame he. Thank you so much.
Good, what? Yes, okay, no, it's fine. Oh, yeah, no. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Not this one. Okay, so. Yeah, my name is Mr. Selelo, M.E. Mohale Ernest Selelo. I am a part-time lecturer from the University of Limpopo. I'm doing PhD as well in development administration. Yeah, next year I want to be a doctor. Yeah, next year I want to be a doctor. So I came with my students who are doing master's and doctoral studies as well in my discipline. They are here with us. Now, eregi itomeka African proverb. Yes, because they, you know, in situations where there is a fire in the bush, the first thing that a chameleon must do, we know that a chameleon walks very slowly, as if it is lazy. It must first abandon the walking style of its ancestors so that it can save itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be presenting a conceptual paper on investigating the dynamics of coalitions in local government in South Africa, as well as to reflect on the coalition bill. Part of the things that I'll be alluding to here have already been alluded to by the MEC and the latter speaker. So myself, I'll talk about the dynamics of coalitions in local government. Coalitions, we know from 2021, 2016, now we're going to 2026, local government elections. The concept of coalition is not new. Sometimes I term the concept or relate it to the marriage, a marriage of inconvenience. Because in a marriage, you have to make compromises and sacrifices in a marriage, so that the marriage can be sustainable. Unfortunately, from 2021, 2016, now we're going to 2026. This, I think, MEC will be a norm wherein personal, not personal, but party marriages of inconveniences will define the local government. So this is just a definition of, it's just a description of what a coalition means. I understand the definition in the coalition bill. This is just to emphasize more on the issue of the concept of coalition. It's a marriage of inconvenience. But the bill seeks to deal with inconvenience. I will reflect on that. Colleagues, you will realize that there's been a several motion of no confidence in the seat of Tshwane, and which has brought the inconsistencies, instabilities, and poor service delivery. The MEC said it, that we had a change of leadership in the seat of Tshwane because of the coalitions. The reason why, sometimes these politicians will say, we're passing the motion of no confidence, but we know the backroom deals that they are doing. They will say it's poor service delivered. They normally cite poor service delivered. We are removing this mayor because of poor service delivered. But we know that someone want to eat. Sometimes in political times, they say, now is our time to eat, MEC. We'll see this comrades will be saying that now is our time to eat. Sometimes you must even ask them a question. Did you cook? What are you eating? It's unfortunate that they are eating our tax money. But let me greet you, ladies and gentlemen, in a country where crime pays. Crime pays in South Africa. And unfortunately, crime is not taxed. There's no tax attached to crime, but it pays. Ladies and gentlemen, let me greet you in a country where in 41 municipalities out of 257 municipalities received clean audit. What does it say about our local government? Let me greet you once again, ladies and gentlemen, in a country that is marred by unpalatable, inhuman living conditions. Unfortunately, people who bear the brunt of such are the poor. Colleagues, what have we done to deserve such kind of a living conditions? What sin have our people committed on the ground to deserve these inhuman conditions? Guys, they have put you in public office to say, guys, please serve us with dignity. But because of party politics, when we go through literature, when we read literature, research and everything, the concept that frequently comes in literature when I'm perusing through is personal interest, pomposity, self-aggrandizement from our politicians. Why? I feel like I can even cry because when I go, I'm from Zaneni myself. People are poor. There's no water, it's just waste. Is it true that our local government are failing? If they are failing, what are we doing in terms of the Municipal Structures Act, Chapter 3? Perhaps that is the question that the bureaucrats or the municipal officials, not politicians, will tell us. Because I learned in school regarding the politics-administration dichotomy that we must at all times separate politics from administration. That politicians, of course, are responsible for policy formulation, coalition bill. It's here. It's politicians who will be discussing that in parliament and everything. But the administrators are responsible for the execution of such a policy. At times, you'll find the politicians, they will chant slogans of independence and everything. No, we'll bring water and everything. They promise people things that they know they won't deliver. But they forget that they put pressure actually on the administrators, because at the end of the day, the administrators must execute such policy. They must go and look for funds somewhere. Politicians just promise people there, as politicians, because you want vote, you just promise people things that are heavens on earth. And you put jurors on the administrators. Colleagues, people need service delivery on the ground. This infighting conflict, these factions in municipal councils is not assisting our people on the ground. People need what? Services on the ground. Give them water, MEC. Give them school, provide school, build infrastructure. We are fine. This thing of having politicians fighting in the municipal council because they want power. Why are you so obsessed with power? Sometimes they say power corrupt, but absolute power corrupt completely. Mahale in 2020 investigated coalition politics and urban governance in Johannesburg. Is the issue of service delivery. And the findings reveals that in the provision, there is a delay in the provision of service delivery with regard to the housing due to the dynamics of coalition. Because you are fighting there in municipal council, you are arguing a lot. People just need water here. Provide services, give them food, build schools. We're done. Not policies, unless if you can translate those policies into a practical reality. Therefore, you are saying something. But this thing of having squabbles in municipal council won't assist us. Colleagues, political patronage and political instability is what characterizes coalition government. In the seat of Tshwane, in Nelson Mandela, in MEC, Chabazimbi there, political patronage. You are correct, MEC. How can we have two managers in a municipality? That's a disaster. When I was going through or perusing through literature, Salga, I see Salga here, the burn of Salga. 62% colleagues of what councillors, these are people that we elect to serve in the municipal council, 62% according to Salga, of what councillors that we elect on the ground cannot even operate a mere, laptop. We are talking about the fourth industrial revolution now, MEC, but we are having councillors who can't even operate a laptop so that we can pass a municipal budget. Unfortunately, that's a shame from where I see it. We have got 300, councillors in KZN who can't even read and write. These are the people that we vote for into our municipal councils, and we want them to deliver services. Maybe the blame should be on us as the electorates. The phrase "to the victor belongs the spoils" gives the leading party in coalition government more advantage to pursue their policy positions and at times dictate terms. I will reflect on the coalition bill in a few minutes, because the author refers to the phrase "to the victor belongs the spoils" as the triumphant individual claim it all. For instance, not only did he emerge victorious in the tournament, but he also secured numerous profitable endorsements. This is just those who are having a majority vote in the municipal council, they want to take everything. But in the realm of politics and governance, a spoils system, also referred to as patronage system, is a custom wherein a political party, upon winning an election, allocates government positions to its supporters, allies, cronyism, and family members. As a token of appreciation, there is an allegation that is going on there in Northwest, but it's regarding something else. Of appreciation for contributing to the victory and everything. So here I'm just talking about the party loyalist. If the coalition says we must raise hands, the proposed one says we vote through the raise of hands. But MEC, we've got party loyalists. What if we want to remove a certain MEC and we are here now, and I know I'm serving on the ticket of the MEC. Can I raise the hand? I'm poor. I'm living from hand to mouth. Then I said, no, MEC must vacate the office. Then I'll be poor to the west. But can't it create I don't know. The raise of hand, I agree with it. It's good that it must be clear and transparent that, hey, sometimes they call them bishops. Bishop, you don't want to. We have got bishops in politics. They want to eat. And MEC, you said it very well that you are tired of by-elections. You know, sometimes I see these by-elections, sometimes, not always. Bishops want to eat. Like I'm saying, they say we want to eat, and I don't know who cooked, and they're eating in which restaurant. And they even kill each other, unfortunately. I know this bishop is in front, and I want to enter there. I want to also have some fair share. What do? I eliminate the bishop. Then I become a small bishop. Then I lead. But forgetting that there is someone behind me also wants to eliminate me. That is why we are having this a lot of by-elections in some municipalities. Political appointments and administrative appointments. This one I just spoke about the administrative Politics, administrative dichotomy, wherein it's just a separation of powers there. But we still have those political appointments in government. We have them. We have them. I don't want to talk about them. I will just pass because of the time. So the reason why we have got instabilities in local government is due to the party or political manifestos on service delivery. We differ. We differ a lot. So that is why we've got some inconsistencies in the municipalities. I'm rushing through because of the time. Then these are some of the policies. I just compared these parties here, the ANC, the DA, and the EFF in terms of the wage gap, the land, and higher education. Here, when I was just going through literature, India experienced, actually India is just what? A mother of coalitions, more than 10 or more than 60 when I was reading. Some they say it's more than 10, some they say it's more than 60. But they come together to form a government. What I learned from that, from literature, with regard to the Indian scenario, is that they compromise for the sake of the sustainability of local government. It's about compromise. We have got different policies. You know, when you are in a marriage, in an arranged marriage, they give you a wife. You don't even love this person. But for the sake of the marriage, and then you enter into that marriage. But you will find some common grounds as time goes on. So you compromise and all those kind of things. So even in, that is the Nigeria scenario, the Indian scenario that I was talking about. This one. So coalitions are temporary. But in South Africa, the latter speaker says they are here. So we must just find ways on how to make them work. And what is the most important thing is just service delivery to our people. Let me just pass this slide and then reflect on the coalition bill. The primary purpose of the bill, as I was just going through it, is to limit the number of motion of no confidence. Is there, when I was reading the bill, they are trying to limit a number of motion of no confidence because that derails service delivery. I'm saying here perhaps the amendment might also consider, as others have explored, that each proposed motion of no confidence must be accompanied by a simultaneous motion of no confidence. We call it a constructive motion of no confidence. We are removing Selelo here, and then who do you replace Selelo with? Because we must keep our local government running. Maybe I'm just saying, it's just a proposal. You'll clarify it in terms of politics. I'm not a politician. But I'm saying that when you bring a motion of no confidence, have a constructive motion of no confidence, that we are removing Selelo here, we are putting Mr. Mnama as a replacement. You will assist me there. If a mayor is removed in the mayoral executive system, should all the members of the executive vacate the office? No. The latter speaker said it. That you don't have to remove all of them. It's Selelo that is the problem. It's failing because of you give those reasons in the coalition bill. MEC, you said MEC that the coalitions must be legally binding. Legally binding. This is just my input. I'm saying that coalitions must not be legally binding because the political, because they stem from policy compromises and political climate changes frequently. They must just, but not legally binding. Maybe you can elaborate on that, MEC. They should remain as agreements because such agreements also must be divulged to the public. Then how do we make coalition work? This is the last slide, Program Director. Yes. There must be a consequences for breach of a coalition agreement. There must be consequences, but not legally binding. So we must also strengthen what political party accountability and develop and enforce a tailored code of conduct for councillors operating in a coalition and focused on ethical leadership. 2 points. One, MEC, you have said that at least you must have threshold, 3%. But we are talking about democracy in the country. We have got independent candidates who have been voted by the people on the ground. We are saying 3%. Independent candidate can't reach 3%. We just have to manage our coalitions very well. 1% is fine. I agree, we are saying it's democracy. It must be representative. But we say, no, we need people there who from 3%, 5% and everything. But what I'm saying is that 1% is, what is the problem? I think you cited the issue of management and everything. Can't we deal with that? But 1%, I think, as the coalition says, it's fine the way it is. The latter speaker, the last slide that we displayed there, you were talking about to form a council. Is it a council or what? 90 days, 14 days and everything. I think maybe 30 days will be fine, according to Mr. Selelo, according to me. I think it will be fine. Because we have to give these people maybe enough time to deliberate on the issues so that we have a durable coalition agreement. We must not be fast and rush processes because they normally say you rush, you crash. Municipalities are crashing because of 14 days now. They are crashing now. You rush, you crash. So I think 30 days will be enough time for these parties to form a municipal council. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Selelo, NS Program Director. I am a PhD candidate. Next year, when I come here, I will be a doctor. Thank you very much.
Just when I thought municipal elections are far away, PO, I realized that already canvassing is happening. Dr. PhD, I hear you. I'm looking forward to introducing you as doctor next year. Thank you so much. That's the nature of our country. May I please have Ntate Raputsoa to address us. Ntate Raputsoa, I don't know when now how you're going to call yourself, but you promote that Larne. Let's have a look. Probably PhD candidate, more serious. Welcome to us.
Thank you very much. No, thank you very much, Program Director. Let me also acknowledge and appreciate the PO Member Data, the Honorable MEC. He's my boss in every respect. So I will not contradict what he said. I'll confine myself in everything that he has said. But as for the doctor in waiting, yeah, maybe I can contradict him somehow. Because he's not career limiting. You know, there is that thing in our space. But we work so well with the MEC. And also let me thank the leadership of Salga that is here, my colleagues, the leaders from all the three spheres of government that are here. As correctly said, my name is Raputsoa Precious Stone, the Municipal Manager of Waterberg District Municipality. Over the last 4 years, I was fortunate to be sponsored to go and represent cities, South Africa, in the Conference of Cities on Climate Change in Canada and Colombia, where you have about 2,500 cities, leaders from municipalities and regional governments coming there. Now you'll understand that when you are there, whatever you say, you must be very clear and understand your home country position in some of the matters that have been discussed there. Otherwise, you may create a diplomatic nightmare where the next thing you are called to order back home to say, no, that official, what you are saying there, does not know what he's talking about. So it's very much important. So that's why I'm happy that the MEC spoke before me and also the colleague from CoGTA, because then we know what is the national position as well as that of the province. Of course, with the understanding that lives happen in local government. Everything happens in local government. All of us seated here, our addresses are within a ward, in a municipal space. So I'm not going to cover everything that the MEC has said, because he has made my life very, very simple. I will just maybe bring numbers, because I like numbers, and I think which is what IEC also like. And one of the things that we are, the skills that we are called upon to embrace is that of actually data analytics towards data-informed decision making. And that means these skills must be developed even not only by administration or administrators, even by the decision makers themselves, the politicians in councils. When we were in Canada, one of the things that was quite interesting, the city where we were there, they had a water problem. So what they decided to do, they decided to bring someone who is an engineer to be their executive mayor to come and solve this problem. And within no time, that problem was absolutely resolved. And I think that is a discussion that is happening, Honorable MEC, in a different, to try and guide different political parties to say, as you send public representatives, send them those who are going to be equally capable in terms of, when you have the MMC of finance, must be able to engage well with the CFO who is a CA, without any trouble or any distance in terms of understanding of the matters that have been discussed. The same thing with different portfolios that are there in the municipality. That's my outline. I'm not going to really dwell much on it. I think Waterberg, we know it's it's made out of 5 municipalities. But one part I want to really look at is the composition of the population in terms of males and females. They are quite a lot, or they are in majority in most of our municipalities. And I want to link that with this, that the bigger part of the population of Waterberg is youth. And in the recent election outcomes, one of the emphasis that IEC will be talking about is the youth apathy. in voting and all those other matters. And I think the MEC reflected that in the recent voting in Sekhukhune, Dubatsi, we had about 58% turnout. Yes, it's good compared to previous, but it's still very low because we wanted to move closer. And the more it gets closer to 100, it will indicate that then our democracy is maturing as it's supposed to be. And I think some of the challenges that you are confronted with will then actually be minimal, because then people understand now what must be the responsibilities of those that are tasked with representing them in council and so forth. And even these young people as well, as and when they decide to participate in politics and ultimately maybe having aspirations to become councillors and so forth, they will understand what is at core in terms of their responsibilities, because we have moved out of the armed struggle or the struggle that was waged against the previous regime. But our new struggle today is the struggle against underdevelopment, under inequality, under poverty and unemployment. And everyone else who wants to enter the space of local government or government in particular in general must be able to understand that they choose to be the activists in as far as those matters are concerned. And therefore they need to develop themselves with skills that are going to enable them to be able to then do that. That is why I like the definition of leadership by the late Dr. Miles Monroe, when he says leadership is about the capacity to influence others, through inspiration. It also talks about that inspiration must be based on the passion that the person has, that is generated by the vision that they actually embracing, developmental vision that they actually are embracing to ensure that they address these aspirations of the people. But as well, it talks about they must have a conviction with the matters that they are dealing with. And most importantly, they must have a purpose, understand the why they are into that space, which if you check most of the time, that is the challenge that we have in most of the local municipalities. We have a lot of, both administratively and politically, where there is the lack of the understanding of the why, where there is no conviction, where there is no passion, where there is, and as a consequence, we're unable to then inspire those that are looking upon us to actually be able to change and positively impact on their livelihoods. And I think that is the challenge that all the political parties, Honorable MEC, must, even before they start they move towards elections, they should have profiled in terms of those that they want to send to represent them, to ensure that they are going to then satisfy all the requirements of a genuine or authentic leader who's going to begin to make an impact into the municipal governance. Because being a councillor, for example, is a very sacrosanct responsibility that many times it appears that we may not actually appreciate the essence, the weight that is carried by that responsibility. It's just the same as being when they say you are an MP, a member of parliament, or a member of the provincial legislature. That is the same in the local space. And the understanding and the weight that goes with that responsibility must come in. Because people will come at your door at night, at midnight, and so forth. You must still be able to meet and satisfy their needs. And that's where the aspect of passion comes in, the aspect of conviction comes in, also the understanding, why are we here? And I think what the MEC alluded to, for example, in the case of Tabazimbi, we have deviated from that. When you look at the white paper, when it was originally conceptualized, it had three phases. The first phase, it was the phase of conceptualization, 2000 up to 2003 or so, or up to 2005. Then we had consolidation, consolidate on what we have conceptualized, the laws and everything else. Now we're consolidating. That's why those concepts of project consolidates and the like. But 2011 onwards, we're expected to then enter the sustainability phase. And at that time, unfortunately, because I started working local government in 2006, at that time, municipalities were moving. That's why you have a lot of municipalities winning the Vuna Awards and all these other stories, because there were pockets of excellence across local government. And then the nightmare began in 2016. Why? Because remember, in those other periods, what we were doing, we were upholding what was expected of us as in councils, where we retained 60% of those that were 60% of the former councillors and bring in the 40%. But what we did away with that. We brought completely new councillors. Now, that means everything starts from scratch. We started operating as municipalities, we are starting municipalities from scratch. We lost organizational memory, both politically and otherwise. Because those who came now, they were saying, no, we want our own people, and all those other matters. And the problems that we are having today, it is the reflection of long-seated matters that we have not addressed since then, as required by, as envisioned by the white paper. And we believe that as we review the white paper, we are moving towards resolving that. So the MEC have touched on the votes, on the seats in council. So I'm not going to, I'll skip this table and use this one, because the same reflection, just to show the movement, the trends over that the 3 years in those parties. Also between the two municipalities. But it's also safe to say, we didn't put it here, but I think we'll share the presentation. If you look, Bela, for example, the difference there was around 3 seats or so. It was also tethering around that. But I believe, which is more or less the same, as was alluded by the MEC, the same with most municipalities in the province, that if we don't turn the corner, if we don't heed the call of the people, we are likely to have some of the municipalities not being able to then have outright leaders in terms of governance. Hence, we need to prepare for that eventuality. So the issue of Thabazimbi is being well canvassed, what transpired there. I mean, as a district, at one point in time, we had a problem, or we would have a problem in our IGR structures, where, let's take the Municipal Managers Forum. You have 2 municipal managers attending. Now, you are not sure which one to attend. So you had to do some dynamics. So you see, now that puts us in trouble. Now we enter a terrain that is not ours, administratively. So we need to do certain things to make sure that luckily those meetings were virtual. We had to kick another one out, based on the information that we are given, or now who is now leading in the municipality. But that's a bit putting more strain on us as administrators. Then you'll also have the Mayor's Forum there, and then the 2 mayors will show up. Well, that one, the executive mayor will handle there, you see, in their space. But I'm just painting a picture, or putting also more meat in terms of what the MEC was reflecting. And of course, remember, some of these were undocumented coalitions. It's just a broad scope arrangements or marriage of convenience, as it was said there. Although the essence here, and the opposite of that then and now in Thabazimbi, I think that there's beginning to be an essence to say, look, we are here to serve the people of Thabazimbi. Let's put our political differences aside and converge for the common interest, which is the development of our communities. That is that, even though it's not documented, but that's what you can interpret, and that's the positive side of it, as opposed to before, where it was a matter of people using the numbers and all those other matters. In Mudimule, it was the same thing. Yes, at the beginning, 2016, you had a coalition led by the DA there, because of the numbers as well, but as well it was not documented. I remember one municipal manager then said, hey, I was told that if I don't do 1, 2, 3 by one coalition member, if I don't do 1, 2, 3 tomorrow, I will be out as a municipal manager, So you have to be on your toes to fulfill some of these things. So those are some of the issues that we are confronted with. Now, in terms of elections moving forward, one of the key things that comes in, I was thinking of this African prophet, which says, out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants decided to vote for insecticides. And then they were all killed, including the housefly, which did never vote. you see. So what it says, whether we vote or we don't vote, we will be affected by those that have voted. And that is a message that continually we need to share with our communities. Because people have lost their lives for this democracy. People have lost, they shed their blood that we are where we are. And we need to understand, we need to gradually educate each and all our communities. I remember one day, I think we said it was before 2016, or I can't remember, 2016 or 2021, but no, it was, it was national elections actually. We said with my wife, so my wife says, hey, honey, you know, I'm not happy with ANC here. We are staying in Hartbees. So she says, I'm not happy with what these guys in Madibeng have been doing to us. You know? I said, okay, so I want us to decide as a family how we are going to vote. Okay? You see, national, it's fine, let's vote for ANC because we grew there. But in the province, because these guys are failing here where we are, let's vote for another party. So I said, okay, who are you going to vote for? So she tells me, she said, I also request that you vote for them. I said, hey, they are not my friend, but I can't vote for them. I grew in this organization, and she said, no, but here, just check, you, even yourself, when you're working there, you know, these guys, they don't care about the communities here. I said, okay, fine. I will see when I get there how my hand will move. So we went. So we vote to vote. You know, hey, that's when I realized that there's a possibility, of course, with respect, Honorable MEC, that this church of ours might have bewitched us. Because, you know, the moment I saw that ballot paper, my hand only looked for one thing, both provincial and national, and I voted like that. So when you come back, my wife says, hey, so now I voted as we discussed, and you? I said, hey, you know what, my hand refused to move from how it used to vote all these years. So I voted the very same way I've been voting. So what I'm trying to say is, in as much as this is painful even for us, you know, and because it is us also, you know, particularly as practitioners, we must go and communicate with fellow practitioners. Say, guys, remember where we come from. Go and vote. Because most of elites are particularly those who are staying in the estates, they don't go and vote. That's why you have this low turnout. They sit there, they are busy, they watch football, all these other things. Those long queues that we had in 1994, they are no longer there. Why? And that is where the inspiration part of leadership must come in. And inspiration is not only about us going to them. They must be inspired by what they see us doing in their spaces where they are staying. And we are happy that I think there's the legislation that is being passed. So all these matters have been touched. I just decided to take that approach. And the challenges that comes with that of non-packaged agreements and everything, what it does to administration, what it does to service delivery and all those other matters, that is a problem. And you know what it does? It keeps eroding the trust that is there between the councillors and the public. And when you go back to speak to them, they don't even want to hear anything from the councillors because they are angry. You know, because they are sewers spilling in their streets. Some of them even keep quiet because they become to live together with those sewers. Because it gives an impression that councils, they don't care about them. And I think that is a challenge, Honorable MEC, that you must continue to create. But I must also say, because I've decided to be an advocate for local government practitioners. Municipalities are filled with officials that are hardworking, just as we have of councillors who are very hardworking, who are committed to their work. And yes, we have those that have also in the other extreme. So when we do everything else, let us not forget those that are doing their level best to make sure that they fulfill the responsibilities for which they are appointed or elected in terms of bettering the lives of our communities. Let us encourage them by mentioning them every time we have an opportunity to speak. You know, whether it is nice or not, but let us always acknowledge they are good and encourage them, and which will be more like a fuel to them to do even far much better in their work. And then we'll be able to minimize these blues. We'll have everything like in the light where the interest or the trust will actually, the trust deficit will be reduced. Our communities will be happy. They will love their councils. They will love their mayors. They will honor their councillors. Wherever they see them, they'll want to associate with them. They'll want to take pictures with them. Because these are the people who are better in their lives. You know, children will have aspirations of wanting to be municipal officials or councillors when necessary. Because they see the value that these people are adding, you see. Someone was telling me that he saw a child, 5 years old. The father was asking him, "Ray, what do you want when you grow?" The child was saying, "No, I want to be a delegate." Whatever it means. Whatever it means, maybe there's a lot of money there or what. But we need to make municipalities to be employers of choice, where everyone else will love to be there. I think we are talking a lot about the framework, and we are saying this framework must, amongst others, have the components of where it have the performance monitoring and evaluation targets. Because sometimes we have this, it's just a statement, you know, it doesn't have targets, that this must be the targets that we must realize. Every time we sit, we must come back to review, is this working? Is it in terms of improving the quality of livelihoods of our people and so forth? So that must actually be what it entails. But also must, you know, when we had national elections recently, if you check, those challenges that were happening in terms of, you know, electing the speaker and everything else, or agreeing on the numbers, who becomes the ministers and what, if you check, the state kept moving, kept working. Why? Because the public service administration somehow is cushioned from political dynamics, you see. And I think that's what must happen in local government. I know, Honorable MEC, there are those discussions to, we have moved in terms of professionalizing the sector, where directors now, senior managers are appointed permanently, and there's a move to also ensure that your municipal managers are appointed more or less in the very same sort of like frames as the directors generals or heads of departments in the province. And that will assist in terms of cushioning, you know, that high turnover of senior managers and so forth in the municipalities. And I think one of what we also like, last point I put there, this is one thing. I had a long discussion with the TG of DPME. I was saying, no, look, one of the biggest problems we have is, particularly as local government, we don't have a long-term development plan or a strategic plan. For example, if you say no, Capricorn must have a vision 2055, Waterberg must have a vision 25, which informs and influences local municipalities in that space. So that who becomes a councillor, they don't necessarily come with their own new thing. They have a 5-year IDP that actually fit or work towards realizing this long-term plan of the municipality, you see. So even if you have a political party A or up to party E, when they strategize or whatever they do, because this strategic plan would have been canvassed across all the stakeholders into that space, regardless of party lines, race, or anything else. So they would have embraced it. So when they come, they are only arguing about how to implement this, but what to implement, all of them are in agreement. So I think that's one area, as we also review even the white paper, must look at as a way also of ensuring that we ensure even development into the space and we begin to speak the same language. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you very much to all our panelists. Memories, I'm going to, when you close, I'd want you to summate everything. I'm going to request the panelists to come back. Dokotela, it's very nice to be in the IEC ways. We recognize talent. Can I request all the panelists to sit here? I'm just going to open 3 questions, 3. I see we don't do opening remarks. You know, sometimes you get asked to pose a question and then you give us your opening remarks. Just a question. I'm going to allow the 3 panelists. We'll see how the question goes. But after they've spoken, I'm going to get my colleague, Memahisi, to just to wrap them nicely before we go to N1. Every Friday, N1 calls some of us by name. I'm going to open the floor for questions. Let's see. But I think the whole discussion, MEC, makes us think out of the box as a nation. There are things that we think will work, but when everything has been said and done, it's not what we think will work, it's what we think will work for our communities. We are sitting with a very bruised nation. Our responsibility as a collective, academia or not, we must find solutions that will ensure that our nation is recovering from all sorts of ailments that we're dealing with. I'm going to open, I've got 3 blocks, let me see. I've got ke tlo tlhakanya block E. I've got this 1 block, 2nd block, and then 3rd. I'm going to open the floor for questions. I love, this is my favorite part of my work. I'm going to open the floor. Chris will to sign if I miss any hand. And then our panelists will just, I know the panelists, Renali Dr. A1 officially, ne? I'm not sure about the 2. So ke kgopela gore se ka thoma ra khankasa bo doctor kaofela. Just your answer will help us think through. I've got, you know, opportunities don't come every day in a lifetime. Ne? Block 1, ke a go feta kere. I don't see your hand. No, ke a suba like sabone le tsogo. 1 and then 2. Can I pick up the 3rd one? Marwaika Mokunalik, MEC, you spoke about 2, no, it's not 2, is it MEC? We spoke about 2 municipal mayors, 2 MEC Khorafum with this country. Okay, I can see the pattern already here. Okay, it's 1, I'll pick up 2, ne? I saw 2, ke right, Chris, you want to, where's Chris? Chris, please come and assist me. I've got a hand in the 4th table. And then a hand at the back, and so it's 2 here. MEC Marikito rule out. You give them space to be in the kingdom. Rena, let's do our work. And I've got the 3rd hand from here. So I give 4 in yo, but was South Africa. Or a 3, they make it 6. So they've doubled my counting. I've got 1, I've got 2 kamo, then I've got 2 kamo, which is 5. Can we leave it at that? Okay, Kimang on Tushanga microphone, thank you so much.
Good day to everybody. I'm Susan Clark here from Polokwane Municipality. The first one is on the 1 to 3% threshold that I want to know, why do you want to change that and bring a limit in? As South Africa is a constitutional democracy, where the constitution is the supreme law of all government, and all actions must be in line with it. And the key features of that is the multi-party system founded on values of human rights, equity, and human dignity. So now you want to put a limit on that so people can't be practicing this democracy. The second one I want to know is the vote of no confidence that you also put limits on. If I can just ask in this sense of all the municipalities, out of 22 in Limpopo that submitted their financial statements, is 20 with material misstatements, 10 adopted unfunded budgets, and 16 had substantial unauthorized expenditure. So if you do this vote of no confidence and claim that this is whatever you want to change is the instability and the causes of instability, I would tell you that none of these has got any instability other than what is happening on the ground currently. Thank you.
Thanks, greetings to our chairperson. Let me just say, the way the protocol is established, Councillor Ngwana from Ephraim Ali, the acting speaker. I'm just also want to speak about the threshold. Our MEC talking about 3%. When you're talking about 3%, I think 3% is too small, because in our municipality, our minimum norm is 3,346. And when you multiply it by 3%, meaning that is 100 voters. And when we are talking about the government here, we are talking about the majority. So I'm suggesting that the threshold must be between 10% to 15%. And then one other question is, if you may find the two parties, for an example, if you are saying that the minimum norm is 10%, for example, the two parties, both of them, they don't meet that 10%. Both of them, they are getting 9.5%. Then how are you going to do it? Because both of them, if you take it to the nearest 10, will get 10. But they're getting 9.5, all of them. And then the other one, that maybe I'll request to our leadership about the Mr. Raputsoa talk about they say the turnover for 58% must rise. But the challenge that we've got is the youth. We're requesting the leadership and the IEC to come with the strategy to request our youth so that they must know that the election is very important, because some of them, they just take it for granted. But I did so that the IEC, they've got the program that is taken to the school. They must just continue that program. I think they'll assist us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm Ngakosichia from Build One South Africa, Bosa. And greetings to the MEC, all protocol observed. I had two questions, but the other one was that one of the threshold. I won't ask it again. I heard he was talking about voting for motion of no confidence. Say people will raise hand. I just want to ask him, was there any research on that one, or it was a political decision? And then I think the doctor in waiting also asked the very same question. I think that one, according to me, that it was a political decision to protect some of the other people who are not doing well. And lastly, to the municipal manager there of Waterberg, it's also a straightforward question. As the administrator in the municipality, there are some other things or matters that you may find that as a loyal member, but I heard you say, you mentioned something about the big church. Do you get, are you going, if you are a municipal man, do things according to the policies, or, because I know the big church, whatever big church, there is whatever their manifestos. Are you going to according to the book or to the manifesto of the book of the big church? Thank you very much.
A very good day to you all. My name is Matlodi Daniel Rapiri from the University of Limpopo. I have questions, though they might sound like concerns to the municipal manager. I think Mr. Raputsoa and also Mr. Nkheli. So my questions were focused in terms of the section 40 of local government in terms of the Municipal Structures Act. number 117. So, first question, what are the provisions of the dissolution of a municipal council and the implementation of caregiver provision in cases of severe dysfunction or failure? Second question, in relation to the bill, how does the Act ensure that the demarcation board's decision on municipal boundaries and categories are fair, transparent, and promote local economic development and also integrated development planning? Last question, are the rules regarding the council's meeting, quorums, and decision-making robust enough to prevent dysfunctionality and ensure continuous governance? Thank you.
And it also comes from the bill, so I have to take maybe my colleagues can address.
The second question, like a threshold question, so I'll cover them. And then voter turnout, issue of youth, maybe might take it from university side, issue of youth participation, why Bachada are not coming through to participate in elections. No? Just maybe your perspective. And the last one, again, from whose I also deals with vote of confidence, whether there was a research on it. And then that the voter will keep the issue of the whether you vote on policies. Yeah, yes, and all. Yes, the law. Okay. We have a Tome manifesto. Maybe come to the podium, that might be easier.
Okay, it might be easy. Thank you very much, Chair. The first question was about why thresholds. Are we taking the Constitution into consideration that deals that there should be democracy should be the key issue in this country when we speak about representation? My response is that, look, when I made a presentation, actually touched on the case laws in that favor, that actually interpretation of proportional representation per se should not be interpreted the way which I also was interpreting that way. I only quoted one case law, but there are many case laws that says, so long as there is something that will result in proportional representativity, I quoted one judgment that can be done. In essence, it's not that we want to remove people from being participating in a participatory democratic system, but we are saying how to address now the challenge that was not anticipated when the Constitution was drafted, the coalitions. So that's what maybe I can respond to why do we have to deal with thresholds and the constitutional reference per se. The vote of no confidence versus performance of municipalities, that actually municipalities are still not performing. So do you think that if we can we address that by dealing with the matter of vote of no confidence? Ma'am, we cannot. Vote of no confidence does not address performance. Performance of municipalities is a complex issue of combined factors within the municipality, which not solely refers to the politicians, but administration per se. If you've got administrators that are not able to perform their functions, whether there's no vote of no confidence or not, we'll still have underperformance. I'm speaking this from experience. I was an MM for 9 years. If you recruit wrong people, you reap wrong things. So councillors should make sure that when they recruit officials, they recruit the right ones. Vote of no confidence is not meant to solve that. And then the threshold, 10 to 15%. When that was raised, also there was an answer to it. I said I give only one example, but when we were doing some examples, there were challenges in some municipalities. If you set the threshold high, then definitely there are many municipalities that won't meet the threshold. In one instance, when we were looking at the 15% executive threshold, we found that the municipality will end up not having an executive. That's why when I was presenting, I said, we need to play around that to say, how do we feature that in the legislation? Because it can work in other situations, it cannot work in others. Unfortunately, time was limited. I could not give you those examples whereby you set a threshold high and then you end up not having the government or not having the ESCO in a municipality. So the threshold need to be managed. But 10% is too much. You can eliminate a lot and so it won't serve the purpose. Because now it would mean that we are not addressing the issue of minimizing parties that will form the government. So we need to work on the threshold carefully. Vote of no confidence, was it a political thing or it was researched? When I was presenting the process we underwent when we deal with the bill, I explained that we follow the processes that are meant in legislation and the Constitution, that when the government is proposing a bill, it must go for public consultation and the interested parties must come with their input. And then I presented to you where it went to. I even presented that we extended the bill. All what you see there is what the people who were interested in making comments actually explained, that they would like to see it happening that way. So, but still it's not the end of the road. The processing of the bill is a process. When we take it from here, and then we can still also make your inputs as well before we finalize it and take it to, introduce it to Parliament as I showed the time frame. And, but what you will find in the bill are the views and opinions of the South Africans who were interested in participating in the process of airing their views in terms of that. I'm not sure whether my colleague, my honorable municipal manager, will deal with Section 40, but I was perplexed because actually that's my bill, or that's my act. Section 40 is about removal of the speaker, not removal of council. So I was somehow lost about how do we link that, but maybe my colleague understood what the question was about, but it's not dissolution of council. It's about removing the speaker. How do we deal with that if you read it? And I just quickly, just to confirm that my understanding was what I understand it mean. And it just says Section 40 deals with the removal of a speaker from office, not about dissolution of municipal council. That is addressed in Section 139 of the Constitution. My colleague is not addressed in there, so it's merely about removal of the speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Let's also welcome the presentations. I will deal only with maybe two questions. The first question, I think it was from the Honorable Councillor from, I think he reflected from Busa, and I could not pick up the council, the municipality where he comes from. I think it's Vembe district, if I'm not mistaken. The question was, how do we make decisions, or how do I make decisions as a municipal manager? Is it in line with my political home or the municipality? Now, remember, in terms of That's why we emphasize on professionalization of the sector. And how you professionalize, that means each and every senior manager, for example, must belong to a professional body. You have SAICA for account for those who are working in finance, you have those who are working in engineering, it's EXA, those who are working, like myself, I'm a SAC plan. By training, I'm a strategist. So I belong to a SAC plan. So I uphold the code of conduct of SAC plan because I have their PR number. So everything I do, whether in the media or wherever, they look at my conduct and they can either decide to withdraw my PR if they feel that I've actually misrepresenting them. And I have a colleague of mine here, she can tell you, I always ask them as my colleagues in management to say, I reminded them this week about the state capture. Most of you that were following state capture will recall when the chairperson was asking, I think, I recall this name very well. My apologies if she's related to you. I'm just doing it for explanation because it was there, it was public information. The chairperson asked the lady, I think it was Mayor Quinana, if I'm correct, who is a CA. And the chair was saying, but because they were asking account-related matters. So they were saying, but as a CA, how did you allow this to pass through your eyes? You see. And she could not really explain. And what happened thereafter, SAICA actually withdrew their accreditation from the member. So I'm using this just for an example, no any harm is intended, to say all senior managers are required to act in accordance with Section 61 of the MFMA, that of fiduciary responsibilities. Even when you see the MEC might be here, tomorrow when they say the MM of Waterberg, they call me at Scopa there at Province, which is constituted of members from all the parties, even those that might be coming from the church that I profess to come from. They are not going to take the party line. They are going to take what the law says, of which I'm empowered in terms of my qualifications to ensure that. So as a professionals, we are required to be, whilst in terms of the Section 24 of the Constitution, the Bills of Rights, you have a right to associate and so forth. You also have a responsibility to be apolitical when you take decisions. You see, the moment you enter the municipal space or wherever, you were a head of an accounting office. I don't wear a head of any other political party. That is what is required of you. And that is important. And you must first understand that as an official, no one must make you to understand that. You are qualified for that responsibility. You are appointed based on merit, and you must do what you are expected to do. In fact, even that church that you belong to, they gain a mileage if you do well in your work. The moment you start doing things that always put you in the media, you're actually embarrassing them, you see. So that is the essence, and that is a message we share. By the way, I'm also the chairperson of the Municipal Managers Forum in the province. And that is a message that we communicate with all the municipal managers in the province to say, first and foremost, understand your responsibilities in terms of the law. Well, the moment you enter the gate of the municipality, outside of the gate, whatever you do there, it's your baby. You see, so you must be able to wear those different hats and then accordingly. So the decisions are taken according to what you are empowered by the law, not according to who you are associated with and so forth. I think that is a key. There was a question in relation that was asked as well in relation to the functionalities of council. I think it also relates to Section 40. You see, and this is one area, Honorable MEC, I'm very much passionate about. I always share with colleagues to say, you know, when I used to work, and the colleagues in Rustenburg, they are aware, because anyway I mentioned it, I was mentioning elsewhere where the speaker was. When I used to work there, you know, staying in Hartepies, which is about 70 kilometers in between, so you drive every morning to work to and fro. But the day you have a council, which starts at 10 o'clock, you must book a lodge there, book a lodge. Because council is going to finish tomorrow, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what is the indicator of that? It is not an indicator of efficiency. It's an indicator of dysfunctional council. Because you have councillors who want to come, because council is attended by public, they want to come and grandstand in council. Now they force council to do a decision that is not their work. Because the debate of matters must happen in the committees, not in council. Council must take a decision based on what the committee is saying. But you find that most of the time, people will want to come and debate in council. For example, in Waterberg, our council doesn't take, no matter how many items, it will never take an hour. It will not take an hour. Because we say, councillors, you have committees there. Debate matters in council. When you come here, if you don't agree with the report, refer it back so that you can address all those matters you want them addressed. I think that is the power of the speaker in terms of adhering and using the rules of order to ensure that council is functional. But the moment you don't do that, basically you will spend a long time in council, a waste of resources and everything else for people who have decided not to do their work in the committees. And those are the things that we emphasize, and we must always keep working on. Of course, councils are different and all those other matters, but we must ensure that we bring those efficiencies in council as we link the operations of council with you, KIM 4, KIM 5, and so forth, to make sure that we are efficient in terms of decision making and all those other matters, so that our communities are able to get information. And also the issue, just to you, colleague, of what was reflected on the, the show of hands. You see, when government doesn't do these things transparently, we complain. When the laws are taken to say, no, let's be transparent and accountable, it's another matter. But this is, from where I'm reading, it's more about transparency. So that people see, this is how a decision was taken. These are the people that took these decisions. It also forces people to be conscious of their decisions, even those councillors that take decisions, you see. It's important that we do. The issue of performance is handled differently. Remember, that one is Structures Act, the amended now, provides for that, to say these are the 3 reasons that you can remove, a motion of confidence can actually be admitted. It lists those 3 areas. It's no longer a matter where someone can just choose and wish someone away and come and say, let's do a motion of no confidence. No. There are those 3 factors that must be satisfied. And if they are satisfied, it's fine. It will have that motion of confidence. But it also gives you a time frame by when you should have done the motion of no confidence. Thank you very much.
No, thanks. In 1 minute, I will just talk to the issue of voters turnout from young people. What must be done? Unfortunately, young people are unemployed. What the officialdom is doing on the ground inspires no confidence to young people, unfortunately. But I believe that the IEC has got a very, they've got some work to do in terms of perhaps establishing the educational programs, and maybe if they're doing that, they must just continue doing that. Perhaps that can change the mindset, because the mind is set. So maybe that could change the mindset of young people when it comes to the issue of voting and provide services to young people. Maybe that can also inspire confidence to young people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the panelists. Our biggest enemy is time. So yeah, I'm going to call on my colleague, General Manager for Civic Education, Research and Knowledge Management, Memoari Selelo, at Raputsoa zone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, OSCATE Program Director, and good afternoon to all our guests, MEC, colleagues, media, citizens alike who have gathered here for today's reflections. I won't take up too much time because I believe our speakers have already said a lot to us that we can take away. So I just want to make very, very brief notes on what I think we should all take away as we leave our engagement today. MEC Makamu started off, I think, by hailing the voter turnout that he was saying he was very pleased to have witnessed recently in Sekhukhune. And I'm sure he apportions some of that to the good work that IEC Limpopo is doing in educating citizens and ensuring that we increase participation. But he also reminded us that local government is at the heartbeat of democracy. And it is where policy meets people. And that's what the upcoming local government elections are about. It's where policy meets people. And he emphasized how collaborative governance and accountable leadership highlight institutional cooperation as a key need in our society and in our democracy. Why? Because it helps to strengthen the trust that people have for the state, but also particularly how communities who feel left behind can be re-engaged to once again participate in this governance, because democracy does indeed belong to all of us, as our theme today highlights. We also had 3 presentations by our speakers. Mr. Nkheli, who grounded us in the institutional frameworks around municipalities and how these frameworks underpin effective municipality and running of municipalities. I think his reflections also looked on capacity, leadership, as well as the importance of accountability when it comes to good governance, and that good governance is not just some abstract ideal, but is something that you build upon, that you train on, and that is what sustains good governance and a well-run democracy. Our future doctor, Mr. Selelo, then invited us to look a bit more deeply into how we bring academic reflection into the conversation. His perspective on municipal performance and the importance of evidence-based policy gave us something to think about, particularly in seeing how research can be used in real world to have real impact. And then finally, Mr. Raputsoa brought a practitioner's voice as a municipal manager, speaking from the core phase of local government, where challenges of service delivery, financial management, and public participation intersect. His message reinforced that institutional efficiency cannot exist without community ownership and partnership. So 4 key things that I think were the golden thread between the various speakers. Number 1, shared responsibility. Building a strong institution, democracy, and governance is everybody's task. So all of us in this room must see ourselves as being role players in the good functioning of our governance structures as well as our democracy overall. Secondly, ethical and accountable leadership. Efficiency without integrity cannot sustain our democracy. Thirdly, civic participation. Institutions can thrive and will thrive when citizens understand their mandate, when they trust that they will deliver, and when citizens have a two-way feedback conversation and engagement with these institutions. That is how we instill ownership when it comes to service delivery, good governance, and democracy. And then fourthly, continuous learning. We can never stop learning, innovating for things to improve. Therefore, the role of research and dialogue, such as what we're having today, is very important when it comes to us being adaptive and being a future-ready and focused democracy. So as I close, for us, conversations like this are very important because they resonate with our mandate to deliver civic and democracy education that helps and contributes to ensuring citizens are able to participate effectively and are well informed to see their role and their responsibility within democracy. When institutions collaborate and when communities participate, we see not only a higher voter turnout, but also deeper democratic resilience. That is the kind of magic that we need in order to sustain democracy. As we leave the seminar today, may we carry forward the call to work together to build effective and efficient institutions for serving our people, because indeed democracy belongs to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to my colleague Mwagisi for the brilliant summation. May I call the Chief of the Province, Nkheli Mateta, for tokens of appreciation. As Menkaro is ascending the stage, may I have Councillor Chioro from Salga, Mayor Bilankulu from CoGHSTA. I'll appreciate. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. We would like to thank the three speakers for really giving us insights into this coalition framework. If you could just approach us so that we present you with our token of our appreciation. Thank you very much. All the speakers, please. Thank you. I think you'll present the first one. Okay. Thank you very much. I think you will get it from here. Thank you. I think pose for the cameras, just face the cameras. Thank you. Thank you very much. The doctor to be? You'll present this? No, it's yours. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your assistance. Thank you. And pose for the camera. Thank you very much, Raputsoa, the MM. Thank you. I think just greeting. Thank you. Thank you. This is our token of appreciation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your assistance.
Ra leboga Nkheli Mateta and all our speakers. May I request the provincial manager, second in charge, and Tate Sianero Atoro lebogele. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the attention that you're giving me now. It's always challenging when you are the last person to speak. Challenging in the sense that you're never sure if you're being tolerated or there is due attention, especially if the item after you is lunch. What is particularly even more challenging in this case is my item is vote of thanks. People have been talking about voting, about motion of no confidence. I'm not even sure if mine is also a vote of no confidence, but I can assure you mine is a vote of thanks. Please allow me this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude on behalf of the Electoral Commission for having taken your time out of your busy schedules to come through here and give life to this session that we have. For that, we are truly grateful. And it is also my privilege to also thank our chairperson for this seminar, for the elegance with which she conducted this session. And we are grateful that indeed we are marching towards realizing the ideals of this session from that. Our PEO, she has outlined to us the purpose of this session so eloquently, and her words reminded us of the importance of the collaboration of active participation in strengthening our democracy, and also has reminded us that double, and indeed that double got us into trouble. Thank you very much for your thought-provoking address. We are deeply grateful for that. And most importantly, your insightful wisdom into all of these proceedings within local councils. We truly appreciate you having shared that with us. But also you have highlighted how complex and how nuanced coalition governments are. On the surface, somebody might just think that it's a matter of that one voting with that one. It's a lot more complex, it's a lot more nuanced, especially at practical level, and the MEC has taken the trouble to demonstrate how complex those nuances are, and for that we are grateful. Also, our appreciation goes to our presenters, Mr. Nkheli, Mr. Selelo, as well as Mr. Raputsoa, for sharing your expertise as well as your perspectives. Different perspectives are quite enriching. When people come with different perspectives, the other person is allowed an opportunity to see that same issue from the other perspective, and that is quite important. So for that generosity that we've displayed here, we are quite grateful for that. And the trouble that you've taken for having prepared the materials that you presented to us. Memar Silikaku, thank you most kindly for steering and guiding this thought leadership program countrywide, and we are looking forward to even more enriching programs from our CDE department. I would also like to acknowledge the efforts of the organizers of this session, including the IEC officials, SALGA officials, CoGHSTA officials, and all the representatives for your dedication, the hard work in making sure that this seminar is a success. Also your meticulous planning towards the realization of this seminar. To all participants that you are here, we've got quite a number of key stakeholders, including our members of Provincial Political Liaison Committee. Thank you most kindly for making the time. Also, I think I've misplaced my list. There we go. The officials or the members of the Provincial House of Traditional Coastal Leaders, we are grateful. Salga Provincial Council of Speakers, the speakers of municipal councils, Mr. Sekonya of the Public Service Commission, the whips of councils for district municipalities, The representatives of CoGTA nationally, our academics from various institutions, our Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 institutions, civil society organizations, and the officials of local councils, and all other key stakeholders. We are most grateful for your presence here today. And finally, as I conclude, sometimes there's always a temptation to come to seminars, deliberate, and show each other different perspectives, as one has already alluded. It's quite another issue to take the matters that have been presented forward in terms of finding solutions for whatever challenges that may have been presented to us. So let us continue to work together and build institutions that are not only effective but efficient in truly representing the people that so deserve the services. We most kindly thank you for your presence here today and making this session a success. May God bless this country. I'm also informed before I sit down, Chair, that lunch will be served towards my right at the restaurant. So when we proceed after this for lunch, that's the direction we need to take. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ntate Sianego. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. This brings the end this wonderful Friday, and thank you for being our guest. As you drive back home, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Drive safely. See you soon. Adios. Bye-bye.